let's go through the all-pro teams. They were just released, both first and second team. A little bit interesting. First team all-pro quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Uh-oh.
Josh Allen, second team
Uh-oh.
all-pro. So what does this mean? Does this mean Lamar will win?
MVP.
Should he?
MVP. MVP.
Honestly, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. I am your host, Jay Cubs, joined as always by Feisty, and we got NFL wildcard weekend in the books, baby. So I can't wait to get into it. Before we do, we got lots and lots of news. Some news that I know we're both happy about, and then just a bunch of stuff going on. So let's just jump right into it. I think we talked about it last week about the whole Tyreek Hill thing, saying that he's out and everything. Apparently, he is committed to the Dolphins, is what his agent said. They met with the GM, head coach, worked it out. He was just, heated in the moment. So sounds like he'll probably most likely end up in Miami next year.
Surprise, surprise. Not really. I kind of said that this was gonna happen realistically, just because of him and Tua having that relationship and what they've been able to create over there. So I'm not like too surprised by it. And maybe they're gonna give him more money to kind of hush him up down the future. Maybe that was kind of like put in. I don't know, but yeah,
They just
not
gave
very
him more
surprised.
money last season too. I think it was like right before the season he restructured his deal and like was supposed to be, in there. So, but yeah, I think he was just heated in the moment, said
Yep.
some things, and he's not really used to losing like that. He's been winning most of the time.
Where
So,
was he at before?
it's one other team that wins a lot of Super Bowls. All right. Someone who will never win any Super Bowls, not even come close, is Deshaun Watson. Some bad news. I think we mentioned there was a setback last week. Well, it wasn't a setback, really. He fucking tore the Achilles again. I don't even know how that's possible, how you could fuck that up if, today's doctors, medicine, and everything,
Yeah.
rehab that's going on, man. But apparently ruptured again, might not play next season at all. And I don't know, man. I think that I'm starting to like believe the conspiracy that the Browns and Deshaun Watson both know, hey, you're not going to give up your contract, but you also suck and we don't want to play you. So just make up some injury or something like that so that he doesn't have to play for them and they can move on without moving on, because there's no way they're going to get him traded or get out of that
Well,
contract.
and imagine the bag he's getting just to sit like that.
Literally.
Oh my gosh, it really, the Browns effed themselves. That made no sense, and it continues to make no sense. And we've been dog shitting on freaking Watson and continue to, because that's the kind of person he is. And so it's like Browns kind of put themselves there, man, and we gotta let it roll. And if he ends up not playing next year, I mean, I'm not by any means surprised by that.
Yeah.
It was either sitting the bench or, and the hard part too is, what do they do? Do they draft a quarterback?
I think you should. Why not, right? You can still like say that he's going to sit behind Watson or whatever, but you got to move on. Like you got to have something. You got to build for the future, even though you're stuck. We saw the Broncos did it right with Russell Wilson's contract. You got to find a way to do it like that. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's get into the coaching news cycle. We got a lot going on. Starting out with my old coach, Billy Belichick. Apparently, teams are reaching out to him, including the Raiders and Tom Brady, who's involved in that head coaching search. But it said that it's likely not going to happen. He's committed to North Carolina. I think there's just a lot of rumors because he has some stipulation in his contract that will allow him to get out of it and possibly return to the NFL, but
Mm.
it does not sound like it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I also saw a report today that said the Cowboys are also, he's on the Cowboys list. So I'm kind of curious to see what ends up if he can. I know the Cowboys want to really, like, were heavily invested in him before the whole Mike McCarthy thing happened, and so yeah, it'd be cool to see him back, even if it's with the Raiders or to with the Cowboys, whoever it is. Like these are teams that are needing change, but I don't know.
Yeah,
He might be
don't
committed to
think
that contract.
he'll stay at North Carolina. And like you said, man, I know you are excited to talk about it. Mike McCarthy out as the head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. That became official today. Two sides could not agree to a contract, apparently. I think we talked
Yep.
about it last week where they denied him being able to interview with the Bears,
Weird.
which makes no sense and fucked him over, really. So, what the hell is your boy Jerry doing here? I know you're excited at least about Mike McCarthy being fired or let go, whatever you want to call it. But do you like how it was handled? Do you think it's gonna? Because a lot of people are saying, like Troy Aikman came out and he said that he was surprised about this and that not hiring him shows that there's no real plan because you have been using all this time to not interview anybody,
Yep.
acting like you're gonna keep McCarthy,
Yep.
but now you don't have any interviews and you're not keeping Mike. So, what are
Yeah, I
your thoughts
mean,
on the whole thing?
oh man, I'm really excited. I don't know if you saw that big smile. It's been a while since the Cowboys news put me a smile on my face, but I mean, this is the perfect like way to get into the headline news because that's what Jerry World does. That's what Jerry Jones does. But I think that they when I was looking at some of the headlines, it was mentioning that Jason Witten is also on there. There's also the Mike not Mike McCarthy, Bill Belichick. There's a few
hmm
others that they're kind of looking at to see who could be a potential replacement. Even Kellen, what's his name? The offensive guy that we used to have that went to the
Kellen
Chargers.
Moore.
Yeah, Kellen Moore could be an opportunity there too. So I mean, realistically, I don't think that they have a plan, but the good news is that Mike McCarthy is not going to come back, and they're not going to do this trend of like, let's give him
Yep.
2 more years to see if it'll work out. Let's give him 6 more years and get stuck with Jason Wynn or not Jason Wynn, Jason Garrett situation. And yeah, I'm just excited. I don't care what the plan is realistically, as long as Mike McCarthy wasn't going to be coaching. So that kind of shows the commitment that we had with Mike McCarthy, and I think I could speak for all Cowboys fan that it was time to move on, and it just was not working out. And
Yeah.
to other opportunities. And I think it's kind of messed up to kind of add on to that too. For him not to get the interview with the Bears, that was so weird. Why would you deny him? Because now they can still go talk to him. Like the Saints are really interested in him, the Bears
hmm
are interested in him. Like that, it was just weird that they didn't end up letting him at least see what they would offer him and to see maybe if they could match it or whatnot. But now that they don't come to an agreement, it's just weird. But that's Jerry Jones, baby.
That is, man. And hey, like I know, like you said, I know that you wanted this to happen. I saw someone say that this is the same old Cowboys way to do this with Mike McCarthy, and I was like, no,
Yep,
like you just said, it's the opposite, man. They actually made a move. They fucked it up doing it. I get that, but like at least they changed something, and
100%.
you'll never know, man. Who's your dream candidate? I know you had a few listed there. Who do you want though out there?
Honestly, I would love to see Bill Belichick there. I think he's the one that could challenge Jerry Jones in a way. Mr. Sanders, I know that that's a long shot because I think he's interested in more on a different team. But like I think
hmm
Sanders, I just think that they need somebody who's going to challenge that old man with dementia, because somebody just needs to come in and say no when he wants to do stupid stuff and let somebody else run the team and you just be a GM and go collect a freaking paycheck. Like not even paycheck, but go collect your whatever that an owner would get.
hmm
Um because it's just so frustrating to see this guy try to be the GM, the manager, the coach, the freaking everything involved. If he could, he would be the ref and the players on the same team. So I think that I would love to see just anybody who is willing to challenge Jerry Jones and like with big personalities, especially to put people in check, like Sanders, like Bill Belichick, because that's what they need is somebody who's going to come in and put people in place, including Mr. Jerry Jones. But realistically, I don't know if I would say I have anybody to like get kind of say, oh,
hmm
this is my coach. I just need somebody to challenge that man.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, man, and more coaching and front office news. Speaking of, you mentioned another guy that's interested. Apparently, I know I've been saying no way this will happen, but your boy Deion Sanders
I
is apparently
told you.
really interested in the Raiders job. So I don't know if that was a report from Yahoo Sports. I did also see a video of him like in the Colorado practice room or whatever doing
Yeah,
like
he's doing his
his
first speech.
yearly thing. Yeah, and I was like, so I don't really know how much that is. The Raiders also they did fire their GM Tom Telesco after I think just a couple of seasons there too. So what are your thoughts on what's going on in Raider
Dude,
Nation?
I kind of called this a little bit. I said that the Dion would go if his sons can get, especially where they have what, the seventh pick or something like that. They're up
Yeah,
there somewhere.
something
So
like that.
even if they're willing to trade down or trade up, like or just stay where they're at, I mean, it's realistically they're gonna make it. If Deion Sanders becomes the head coach, he's definitely having his sons over there. It's the whole idea of like the father son duo thing, LeBron and Bronny James. Like it's just for the show, for the culture, for the history of it. But realistically, I did see that something came out today on Bleacher Report just mentioning that the Raiders haven't been interested in him. So
Hmm.
realistically, I don't know how much of this is true and how he may be saying he's interested in it, but at the same time, the Raiders aren't the team to buy in on it.
Yeah,
The Raiders were interested in somebody else, and they even got Tom Brady to go talk to him about it. So to try
who
to
was that?
uh wasn't it Ben Johnson?
Did they? I hadn't heard that yet. That would
Yeah, Tom
be.
Brady had because Ben Johnson wasn't even interested. Sorry to jump in on there, but he wasn't even interested in trying to do an interview with them. But they did the whole call Tom Brady in to
Okay,
sell it.
and kind of convinced him there. That's awesome.
So he might
Well,
be doing an interview there.
speaking of that man, he did interview with the Patriots this last week. They have Patriots. They also interviewed obviously Mike Vrabel, who we talked a lot about. They tried to interview Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, and he said no.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, bud, you weren't even our top choice, but whatever. But he's gotten an interview. I think Aaron Glenn's got interview requests from pretty much everybody. So he's going to definitely be a head coach next season. But your next head coach for the New England Patriots, not Ben Johnson, definitely not Aaron Glenn. It's Mike Vrabel,
Yes,
baby. We brought
sir.
him home. I am definitely happy about this decision. I
Yep.
know I said Ben Johnson was kind of the number one, but I also understand like Mike Vrabel makes sense. He played for us, won 3 Super Bowls, was a great player, great coach as well. I mean, he won Coach of the Year, won playoff games with the
Yeah.
Titans with rosters that weren't even, like superstar rosters, I'll say. And then I remember there was one season he might have broke the record or it was at least the most on that year, but he had like 91 players play for the team just because so many people got injured and stuff
Yikes.
like that. And he still put them in the playoffs. So I love this man. I watched his press conference this morning, already a billion times better than Gerard Mayo. We know how I felt about that, and I'm glad we made this move. I think he's going to establish a great culture, and he is ready to, go to work. He's ready to help Drake May and really help him develop. And the way he said, they asked him like, how do you want or how are you going to do that? And he said by putting great people around him.
Yes,
Just
sir.
the perfect answer. I'm
Yes,
like, there you go.
sir.
That's exactly what he needs, and you can
Yeah.
watch him get better. So fucking love everything that's came out of this guy's mouth already. I love his attitude, his mindset. I think this is maybe even a better hire. Ben Johnson's a crazy good mind, never been a head coach before. So you don't know, you know, do we need offense or do we need to establish a culture? So this might actually have been the best option for
Yeah.
the Patriots.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that they made the right move. I know it said like the Raiders also were trying to make a last minute push for them, and the Saints were trying to make a last push for Verbal, and so
And the
I
Jets
think
too. The Jets
yeah, and
tried
the
to get him.
Jets. The Jets is the one that big.
No chance.
Jets,
Yes,
Jets, 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 suck. So I mean, yeah, it feels good when you can steal anything from the
the
Jets.
dog
Now
shit
imagine if you
Jets.
get Mr. Garrett as well.
Ooh,
Now you're talking. Anyway, so realistically, I think that they knew that this is their guy and they went heavily on him. I
Yep.
love the move, especially the things that he's already saying is different from what Mayo had, and so I think that this is going to be a really good move for you guys. Ben Johnson will eventually get a job regardless of
Oh
where.
yeah.
The Cowboys, I don't know, the
I
Saints, the
think you
Steelers,
could.
the freaking Jets, like anywhere else realistically. But I think that they knew that this was their guy, and they ended up getting him. So I'm super happy for you guys, and I think that this is what your guys need. And culture is a big thing. You have no idea how much of a change, and realistically how important culture is, no matter where you're
Yes.
at and what you're doing. And so having a guy put in the right culture and to have to challenge the norm is super important. I think that's what he's gonna do for you guys.
Yeah, awesome, man. I love to hear everything that you just said that he said. Yeah, I think it's perfect, man. And the coordinators, everything like that's not set too. A lot of people have said maybe Josh McDaniels coming back as the
Ooh,
offensive coordinator, which I would love.
run it
I think
back,
he's a
baby.
great offensive coordinator. He's obviously not been a great head coach, but come back to where you're home, where you spent most of your years and definitely had most of your success. So
Yeah,
I would love to see that, and I would love to see him really just get whole new coordinators. I mean, bringing his guys. Alex Van Pelt, our offensive coordinator last year, I never got too mad at him. I think there was only so much he could do with literally nothing.
yeah.
Demarcus Covington, our defensive coordinator, didn't really like him, didn't think he was showed any promise. So definitely wouldn't mind him going out. And I know a lot of Patriots fans feel the same way. So gonna be fun to see what ends up happening, but I definitely trust in whatever Vrabel decides to do, and he's the guy to lead us back to relevancy and hopefully back to some success here in the not too distant future. So
100%.
all right, and then there was one more thing I saw. Speaking of going back to the Bears, they're apparently interested in Marcus Freeman,
Yes,
the
sir.
head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So that'll be interesting. I feel like I don't know that you'd want to leave that position with how stouted it is or whatever the freaking word is. But yeah, I guess they're doing their due diligence both in college and the NFL.
Well, and I love Marcus Freeman. I've been giving him his roses all season, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could see a good potential with him going to the Bears because they have such a young team and a young quarterback, and what he's been able to do with the Notre Dame this past couple seasons. But he just got a big paid contract
Mm-hmm.
like a year ago or so. So like he's not, and I think it's a 4 year contract. I don't know realistically if he would go to the freaking, especially the Bears, and I think the other team was
Yeah,
what, the Saints, that were also interested in
might have
him.
been. Yeah.
But it's like I don't know if I would want to go for that when you have a freaking school and a program that you've built up to a prestige level, and that you're going to be competing for a national championship, which I 100% hope they do. F Ohio State, no personal reasons, no nothing. But eventually we'll get into that in the college episode. But like, realistically, I think that he should stay where he's at and not have to worry about having to build an organization like the Bears or the Saints, where it's been a dog
Mm-hmm.
shiz couple years.
100%. Yeah, I see him staying in Notre Dame for sure. No chance. I think they'd leave, but shout out the Bears for at least trying. All right,
Sure.
one more thing before we get into the playoff games this weekend. Let's go through the All Pro teams. They were just released, both first and second team. A little bit interesting. First team All Pro quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Uh oh.
Josh Allen, second team
Uh
All Pro. So, what does this mean? Does this mean Lamar will win?
MVP.
Should he?
MVP. MVP.
Honestly, I could still see Josh Allen winning it, but then how could you then you're going to hear that all off season, man, is how
Yeah.
is Lamar first team all pro but not MVP? You know what I mean?
No,
Um,
100%. And why would you do that to a guy who's performing at such a high level, and his past season isn't even the MVP season that he realistically is having.
yeah,
So
crazy. And then another hard choice, but obviously I think it makes sense. A running back goes to Saquon Barkley for first team all pro. Derrick Henry gets second team. I think that makes sense there. Some other highlights: Brock Bowers, first team All Pro tight end, man, as
Wow.
a rookie.
Yes,
That's
sir.
amazing. I think well deserved. And I think, that shows right there he should be way higher up in conversations for rookie of the year than he is. I get Jaden Daniels is amazing, not trying to take anything away from him, but Brock Bowers had an historical season. And when's the last time a rookie tight end was named first team All Pro? Especially with the amount of great tight ends we have in the league today in today's day.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. And it makes me even more happy that Mr. Kelsey wasn't even on this list of first or second team. So, F that guy, overrated, son of a biatch. Funny, but sometimes funny doesn't get you everywhere. So, um, kind of happy to see that Brock Bowers is getting his flowers where his flowers are due. So,
Yeah, I love to see it too. And then a couple wide receivers from LSU, obviously Jamar Chase, first team All Pro, and Justin Jefferson. I think I
oh,
saw it was something like first time since whenever, a long time ago, that two receivers from the same school and they from the same class. I think they came out the same year. Wherever both on first team All Pro, so it shows you what LSU um, produces out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown also got the wide receiver first team All Pro. Second team was your boy CD, Terry McLaurin, and AJ Brown. So an all NFC East wide receiver there. And then I want to talk about the left tackle Tristan Wirfs from the Bucks, dude. This is really cool. He is the first ever person to win first team All Pro at left tackle and right tackle.
oh no way.
Yeah, dude, that is insane.
Imagine. And also, freaking Scary Terry, dude. Give props
Mm-hmm.
to him because he was dog shiz the last couple
Dog
years.
shit.
Like, literally the worst. And then all of a sudden, you get Jane Daniels there, and he turned that whole man's career around all of a sudden. Now, Scary
Literally.
Terry is scary.
He's scary again, man. I was gonna, no matter what, stay away from him in fantasy drafts this year. I was like, I don't care if there's 10, 15 worst players, but my next best option, I'm not picking Terry
Yeah.
McLaurin. And then he does this year. Shows what having a competent quarterback can do. So, yeah, love that for him. And he's back to actually being Scary Terry. So that is
Yep.
awesome.
100%.
Joe Tooney and Creed Humphrey, some Chiefs offensive linemen, both make it on the first team All Pro. Quentin Murnez from the Broncos, and then Penei Sewell, former Duck there, makes the
Yep.
right tackle position, and then first team all
Let's
defense edge.
go.
There's two of them, and they're both from the AFC North. So we
Oh.
obviously know who that is, right?
Oh.
Myles Garrett, obviously.
Oh.
And Trey Hendrickson is named first team All Pro. What does that mean? Oh, TJ Watt is stuck down to second team All Pro.
Oh,
Guess
what
we
does
really
that
know
mean?
who's good, who's better, and who's not, don't we?
I wish he was here right now because he'd be like, "The stats, bro, the stats." Yeah, just kidding, bro. We love you, but realistically, this is the one I was waiting for to hear because Miles Garrett, once again, you can't say he's more popular than T.J. Watt because T.J. Watt is the guy, and yeah, this one feels good.
Yeah, I bet
Just
it
gonna let it
does, man.
sit there.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And then some linebackers. We had Zach Bond, sorry, Fred Warner, and Roquan Smith.
Yep.
Cornerbacks were Patrick Surtain the second. Definitely makes sense there.
Yep.
Second guy, Derek Stingley, sorry, Jr., which I had a little bit of beef with because I really thought that Christian Gonzalez, another former Oregon Duck,
Should have
has
made it.
really had an first team All Pro. Now he was named second team All Pro, so at least we got that. But Devin Singletary definitely had a great year. But I think when you look at how Christian Gonzalez was a true shutdown corner, I would think I would put him, and obviously biased, but I would put him over Derek
I
Stingley.
mean, you can continue the bias trend because I would probably, not probably, but I would say the same thing where he definitely should have been the first team all pro, and so, and I know a lot of these guys like their contracts they get a big incentives for
Mm-hmm.
making like first pro team, but I mean Christian Gonzalez is a dog, dude.
Yes,
You need
sir.
somebody shut down. That guy will do it in a heartbeat, and he did it at Oregon, and now he's doing it for the for the Patriots. So, and realistically, I think there is a little bit of bias, like you said, but give my boy that first freaking all team pro, baby.
Good news is he's only in his now going into his third year next year, so I think plenty of first team
Imagine,
all pros
imagine.
still on the horizon. So, all right, that wraps it up for the news, baby. Let's get into this playoff weekend. And you know what we could call it? The dog
Dog
shit
shit.
playoff wild card weekend, man, because it started so terribly. Let's start it out with the Texans and the Chargers. Now, I know all of us picked the Chargers except for Wesley. Wesley went with the
Mm.
Texans, and honestly, I thought this one, I think I said it on here. I was like, the one team I'd want to play is the Texans. I was like, this is the worst team I think in the playoffs. Them or the Steelers. Boy, did they prove me wrong because they dominated in this game. But one thing I want to shout out because you definitely were right and I was wrong. Your boy Zeke did get signed to a playoff team. Didn't last too
With the
long. He was just signed to their practice squad. The Chargers did, but so yeah, you were right on that one. Got to give you your props for that. But yeah, it was kind of a boring game to start. Two field goals from Cameron Dicker brings it to a 6-0 lead. Then the Texans answer back in the second quarter with 10 points, take the lead, and then from there it was just all Texans, man. 22 points in the second half. And talk about a guy that struggled. Justin Herbert, man.
Herbert, yeah.
Holy crap. He had
Yep.
23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions on the season. And in this game, he had 4 interceptions. In the single game, he threw interceptions in this one. So really tough to see. That Chargers seem to have a curse. It looked like the exact same thing, even though they got the new culture and Jim Harbaugh and everything, but it looks like the same old Chargers with Brandon Staley and everything as they get their butts kicked in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we chose the Chargers. We just felt like the Texans couldn't get it figured out. Not that they realistically still figured it out, but it seemed like it was a better Texans. It looked like the Texans that we came to love last year and the beginning of the year to kind of see what they were all about. And Joe Mixon was doing his thing finally. CJ Stroud was finally doing something. So like, and
Now that your
their
fantasy season's
defense,
over.
yeah. He's like, no, I'm just gonna play now. But like their defense is where it realistically
Yes.
like came together for them because that was a big struggle for them because they couldn't hold it down while the offense was struggling. So, but yeah, I hate to say it, man, but I feel bad for our boy, um, Julio because how excited he was. But I
Yep.
I think that they have the right mentality. I think that they have the right culture, like you said, set in place. It just needs to be molded together. What they realistically weren't even supposed to make the playoffs because of how badly they started, and now they were able to do that and make a big push for it. So I think you give them one more realistic full season together with John Harbaugh being there. I think that they're going
Mm-hmm.
to be just fine next year and be right back to in the playoffs, and hopefully you have a deeper run, but this was a tough game and a tough matchup for them when it realistically should have not been.
Yeah. I mean, there wasn't much bright spots in this game. There was an 86-yard touchdown on like 3rd and 20 to my boy McConkey, who continues to pop off and show that he is the future. He had 197 yards in this game. That's a
Yo,
rookie single game playoff record. And that was pretty much it. So once finally the Chargers might have a little momentum, and then the PAT gets blocked, and I don't know what the hell Cameron Dicker was even thinking, but he just bats it down like it's not a live ball or whatever, like it's an incomplete pass, and he just bats it down on the floor, doesn't grab it, and the Texans take it back for a 2-point conversion on the other way. So as soon as something good happens for the Chargers, it doesn't last literally long at all, and the Texans get that. So yep, what a win. 32-12 was the final score, and they are going to face the Chiefs in the divisional round. So I have to see if anybody thinks they'll have a chance. We didn't think they had it this time. Maybe will they have enough for Kansas City? We'll have to
Cinderella
see.
story, huh?
There we go. All right, let's move along to another dog shit game. Ravens and Steelers.
Ugh.
Who do we think's dog shit in this one?
Ugh.
Oh man, I doesn't wasn't even trying to talk shit. I think I said that last week, but I really didn't believe in the Steelers at all, and that just showed right from the beginning. I
Yeah.
mean, before it even started, it looked like they had nothing. And this was even Zay Flowers was officially out for this game after that bad injury he had last week. Um, but man, I was actually watching it with our boy Wes, and he was pointing this out, man. He was getting pissed. I've never seen him actually get pissed about TJ Watt, but he was. And it's because he was getting burnt on this read option the entire game,
Ugh.
dude. Lamar would pull it every single time. TJ Watt bites completely on the running back, on Derrick Henry. And he said, like, to give TJ some credit, like maybe there's supposed to be someone else behind him to take Lamar if he does pull it, but maybe that was where the breakdown was. But there's definitely a lot of times that TJ Watt was looking exposed out there
Yeah.
because I think Lamar ran it like 5 straight times on him, and it was all like success. Like he got like a couple first downs on those 5 runs and stuff like that. There was no negative runs, so they just kind of got to do whatever they want, man. And they ended up with a 21-0 halftime lead. Like I
Mm.
said, over before it really started. Pittsburgh did make a little bit of a run in the second quarter. They got 2 touchdowns, but they also gave up a 44-yard touchdown to Derrick Henry, who Lamar said looked like Lightning McQueen, just the way he
Yeah.
shoots out of the hole. Man, Ravens looked real good, even like I said, without their top weapon in Zay Flowers, at least top wide receiver. But they get the 28-14 win in this one. Um, and like I said, never was really even close. And they showed this stat at the end of the game, man. 29 rushing yards for the Steelers, 299. So just added 9 on top of what the Steelers got, man, for rushing yards. Baltimore's got almost 300 rushing yards, man. They could do whatever the hell they wanted this game. It was, yeah, dog shit and another one and done for the Steelers. But hey, Mike Tomlin got his winning record, so all is well, right?
Oh, and he's not getting fired, so there's also that. And apparently, there's a no trade clause. When did we start trading coaches?
There's
I don't.
apparently some teams are interested.
I don't know if you.
They're
I'm.
trying.
I would definitely be interested in Mike Tomlin coming to the Cowboys, better than
Yeah.
what we had. But like, I didn't know realistically that coaches can be traded.
Yep.
That was the
Apparently.
weirdest thing that I saw out of this whole thing. That Mike Tomlin is his job safe, even though another first round exit.
Yeah.
But it there was a no trade clause on there, and a couple of teams reached out to them, and they said no, and I was like, that's interesting. But this game, I we 100% knew the Ravens were gonna take it no matter what. That first win against the Ravens was a fluke, and the fluke went away because the Ravens killed them the second time,
Yep.
and then now the third matchup where they were supposed to redeem themselves, we just knew that there was no way that they were going to be able to keep up with the high power offense. And I kind of give TJ Watt, I cut him some
A
slack
break.
because it is so hard to know who's going to be getting that ball. When you have King Henry and you know how explosive he is, that 44-yard example,
Right.
and you know how powerful he is, you just have to crash into the freaking every single time and hope that you can stop. And don't get me wrong, TJ Watt is one of the best players to ever play on the line on defensive line, but it's like it's hard to make that decision. And Lamar Jackson is so good at that read option,
Yeah.
and especially now having King Henry with him, bro, that just was never gonna happen. And they needed to change up something on the defense to make it to get him some more support. But realistically, I just knew that we all kind of said the Steelers ran out of juice. They used all of their juice at the beginning of the season, and then they continued that with Russell Wilson, and then it was back to the old Cowboys. Oh, sorry, I mean back to the old Steelers.
Same thing.
Same thing,
At this
where
point.
they choke, they get to the playoffs, and they just choke. And to have 29 total rushing yards, Najee Harris, bro, where you at, dog? Like,
Literally.
what happened? Like, how come you haven't been doing anything the last 3 weeks, last 4 weeks? And where Jalen Warren was carrying the team on his back literally and making all the and they're like keep feeding him, and it's like they just they didn't listen to that either. So I think the Steelers kind of beat down on themselves, and I feel bad because Derek's also a Steelers fan, and I was like, when he came home, I was like,
Oh
what
no.
happened?
Yeah. It was one of the things where like you know me, I love to always talk shit on the Steelers. Always hated the Steelers.
What is
But
that?
it reminded me, Wes brought this up of the game when they got absolutely destroyed by the Browns in like the first quarter when it was like 28 to nothing.
Yeah,
And me and him had went to a bar and he was getting free shots and everything because people felt so bad for him. And it was just like that same kind of vibe where I was like, I'm actually rooting for the Steelers right now just so it's a close game because like this is just
terrible.
so bad, man. And
Yeah,
talk about bad. George Pickens, he was asked in his post-game press conference if he feels optimistic about the Steelers offense going forward. And all he had to say was, nah.
nah,
Oh,
nah.
typical George Pickens, man. But hey, at least he's honest, and I feel the same way about that. It's just tough. I mean, they do say like the other question is what are they going to do at quarterback? Obviously they had both of those quarterbacks on 1 year deals. Apparently, Russell Wilson says the plan is, and he wants to come back. He's got a lot more to do. So I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with the Steelers. I know, like you said, you can't fire Mike Tomlin, but I've been on the thing, and I'm not trying to say fire him, but maybe it's a situation like with Bill Belichick,
Time to move
where
on.
him and Kraft, or Tomlin and Rooney meet together, say, "Hey, look, this just isn't working. I need to change the scenery. You guys need to change the scenery. Let's
100%.
agree to part ways." And yeah, maybe he can choose one of the teams he wants to get traded to, because I think that's the
Yeah,
only way he could get traded. It's hard to do because he's such a consistent winner and he has made the playoffs so many times, but five straight one and dones or something like that. And
yeah,
he just
terrible.
they haven't won a playoff game since 2015, I think it was 2016, maybe. It's insane, man. And I think it's just something that's got to change. And I don't really see it changing if you keep everything the same way we talked about the Cowboys, man.
Yep. I mean, you keep bringing back the same recipe and hoping that it will taste better or that it will do better, and it's like it's not. It's sometimes you have to make the decision and say it's time to move on and build a whole new culture, like we were talking about with Mike, and so it's just hard, and I would be interested to see how that trade would go and what what the compensation would be for the trade, but realistically, you look at this team and you figure out that their defense is really good. Their offense is what's been struggling the whole entire time, and you can only
Mm-hmm.
count on your defense so much to bail you out. And it kind of finally caught up to them, and you're seeing that now. So it's like, do you keep Jalen Warren and get somebody else to kind of back him up and get rid of Najee Harris and say good luck to him, or
Yeah.
do you also get another, like, use your pick to get a receiver because you have the O line? It's not the issue of the O line because you have that no draft pick that you picked last year too, who was injured and didn't get to play, so now he's going to be able to play. But
Yeah.
it's just, I think they just have a lot more questions than answers, and I think as the off season comes and they're all in spending their time in Cancun, it's going to come to more realization that they have a lot of questions with no answers and a lot of holes to fill. So
Yeah, it's a thing the Steelers never do. They're loyal to a fault. I mean, they've had three head coaches in the last whatever it is, like 50 years or
100
something like
years.
that. Like basically, and they don't change. They stay loyal to their people, which is awesome. But when you're too loyal, like you said, same thing. Cowboys with Jason Garrett was the same exact thing.
Hey, years.
It ends up, biting you in the butt. So, but yeah, Ravens move along and they will face the winner of this game, the Bills Broncos. And man, we got the second 7 seed after a couple of shitty games. And yay, we're looking forward to this. I picked the Broncos. I was the only one. And did my
Idiot.
hatred for the Bills come into play? Maybe. I know that we might get into another pick that your hatred came in for a certain team, but yeah, I picked the Broncos, and it looked okay to start. The Bo Nix went, I think it was just 3 plays, and then threw a long, I think it was Marvin Mims, like long 50-yardish touchdown
Right.
to go up 7-0. And I think the Bills might have got a field goal the next drive. And then Broncos executed a fake punt pass for a first down, and it was like, holy crap! Okay, there you go. Sean Payton's really, going for
Cooking
it,
it
but then
up. Yeah.
they end up having to punt actually on that same drive. And from there on, man, it was just Bills, Bills, Bills. And I called my brother before. He's a Broncos fan, and I told him, I was like, I really do think that you guys can stick with them. The only thing is you got to find a way to run the ball and try to win time of possession at least as much as you can, because you can't go blow for blow with Josh Allen. You
Yeah.
can't just expect to keep up with him, and they can dominate time of possession, because talk about a great O-line. The Bills have a great O-line that doesn't get talked about enough. James Cook does his thing, man, and yeah, they just dominate time of possession. Wasn't even like they were doing all kinds of explosive plays and touchdowns, but they were just winning every play. And yeah, just ended up slowly beating them away and got the win on them. James Cook, like I said, went off. Josh Allen did his thing, his normal kind of stuff, nothing crazy, except for fourth down. I think it was fourth down and goal, or fourth down and 10, at like the 11-yard line, and throws a pass to Ty Johnson in the back of the end zone. I don't even know how he kept his feet were hanging above the out of bounds line. Crazy, crazy play, man. But yeah, Bills dominate, get the 31-7 win in this game, and will face Baltimore, like I said. So that is going to be an exciting matchup. But what are your thoughts on these
Yeah,
Bills
that
and the next Broncos?
yeah, I mean that's gonna be a fireworks kind of game. It's it's gonna show. Oh, the MVP should be decided based off of
Ooh,
that game, baby.
there you go. I
NFL,
like it.
take it as it is. I'll give you that idea.
Although I think that their votes are already in. But yeah, I think you're right. They should.
But they should have waited maybe to, especially to see what would happen in this game. And the guy that can lead their team to the win. Come on
hmm
now, what's better than beat the guy that you're racing against for an
Seriously.
MVP? But this game, we all kind of realistically wanted the Broncos to win, and we realistically
Mhm.
all would want to choose the Broncos. Just some of us aren't idiots, Mister Jacobs. Um, and we go with the right choice. But I feel bad because they're another team that wasn't supposed to be there.
yeah.
I said it all season long that this is going to be a learning season for them, and that Bo Nix just give him time, and he's just a rookie quarterback, man. Props to him to take his team to the playoffs in the first year, where realistically you should have not been there because you guys were doing a whole rebuild. But their defense showed out, except they didn't show out in this game. And it kind of showed when Josh Allen keep gets going,
Yep.
you really can't slow him down. And especially having James Cook, man, that guy has been a workhorse. He's been able to continue to um, do anything for the Bills on the offensive side. And Josh Allen's just showing he doesn't need a lot of weapons. He just makes up his own weapons and does it. So good for the Bills. We kind of all felt like this was the Mafia. They were gonna win
Yeah.
it, and now the fireworks game kind of really starts this next round. So
Setting up,
we're
man. I'm
excited
excited
for
to
it.
watch it for sure. And yeah, I feel like Broncos did what they could. They were clearly the inferior team, like you said. We all knew this.
Yep.
Some of us were idiots and sacrificed points for their hatred for other teams, but yeah, we kind of. I mean, this was the most competitive game we've talked about so far. I know, like maybe not score wise, but honestly, it was sort of close. Like the Bills just slowly but surely kind of
Yeah.
chipped away, and scored some points, but. You got to credit the Broncos. You haven't been to the playoffs in whatever it was, like 10 years ish or something. I think since 2015 when they won the Super Bowl with Manning. But yeah, man, Bills are looking hot, and what they can do with that running game, both with Cook and Josh Allen, you got to look out, man. They're going to be tough. And yeah, against the Ravens, kind of similar style quarterbacks, teams like that. It's going to be fun to watch. So I cannot wait. Alrighty, let's get into the NFC side. We had their second game of the day on Sunday, which was the Eagles versus the Packers. And we had a couple of worries because we thought Jordan Love might be hurt. We thought Jalen Hurts might not make it out of concussion protocol. He was in there late last week. I think like Wednesday or something was when he finally got out, which it had been over a couple of weeks, I think, at that point. But he was able to get out of concussion protocol. Jordan Love said his ulnar nerve injury was never a problem. So they both are ended up able to play this game, which was awesome. But yeah, this was definitely a better game, and then it ended up still not being a
Yeah.
really good game towards the end, kind of similar style. But it started off with some crazy stuff. I don't know if you saw it, but like the very first play of this game was the kick return, and there was a fumble by Green Bay, and it looked pretty clear. And even Tom and Kevin Burkhardt were like, "I'm pretty sure that Green Bay got it and recovered that." And I think even the ref guy or whatever that's up there in the booth, he said the same thing. But they gave it to Philly, and Philly's able to go with that, score on their first possession, and get 10 points in the first quarter. But the Packers defense, you got to give them some credit, man. They were playing hard most of this game and were able to kind of keep them at bay. They only had those 10 points in the entire first half and then only 6 in the following quarters, but offense just couldn't get it going, and they really had nobody out there, man. Talk about Christian Watson is already out for this game. He tore his ACL. And then Romeo Dobbs had a terrible concussion. He could barely walk off the field. Jaden Reed got injured in this game. Their right tackle got injured. I mean, the injury bug kept coming for him, man, and it was hard to watch because you think that the Packers could have made it a little more competitive, but
Yeah.
the Eagles are able to do their thing, and Saquon Barkley does, of course, his thing, gets some good yards, and has that running game go on pretty strong. And we got the passing game kind of back. Jalen Hurts definitely didn't look amazing in his first game back, but
Yeah,
he,
not comfortable.
didn't turn the ball over, I believe, and he kind of made the right plays when he needed to. And even that Dallas Goedert touchdown was awesome. That was mostly Dallas Goedert, two stiff arms on the way to the 24-yard touchdown, man. But yeah, obviously the Eagles are going to get this win, 22-10. AJ Brown didn't have himself a good game, so he went to the bench and started reading books, apparently, which is
Yeah.
the most. It's like number one on Amazon. Whatever book he was reading, I can't even remember the title, but yeah, man, Eagles do their thing, and I guess Toyotathon's over, so that means Jordan Love starts sucking again because he threw 3 interceptions in this game and could never really get anything
Yep.
going. It's so weird, man. But literally, Toyotathon ended last week. He was good while Toyotathon was going on. He was bad before, and then he's bad again, and not able to do enough to keep this game competitive as the Eagles get that 22-10 win.
I don't even know where to start. Some idiots. Sometimes their hatred for a team gets in their head, and they end up picking the other team.
You were the only one to pick the Packers in this game. The rest of us picked the Eagles. I
What
wonder
an
why that is.
idiot.
What an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that the Eagles would win this game realistically. I just couldn't pick them. That's realistically what it is, and I was hoping that maybe Jordan Love and the Packers would show up and finally do something that they've always done the last couple times we played them in the NFL playoffs,
Mhm.
and that's slowly somehow not a des catch or not a somehow field goal goes in. So like either way, I hated both of these teams, but I wanted the lesser evil of the other.
Mhm.
And they just didn't look good, man. They don't look comfortable. The Eagles' defense was really what kind of did a solid job mixing things, and also injuries played a big part. Like you said, it's hard when you don't have weapons to throw to at that point. It's like, who are
What
you
else can
throwing
you
to? Because
do?
you don't even
Yeah,
know any of those guys. They're third, fourth, fifth strings practice
literally.
squad guys. So it's like they don't get that first reps with the quarterback. So the chemistry was not there, and I think Eagles just continue to show that they're a team that's solid to make a playoffs run. Will I pick them? No,
No chance.
no. I don't even care if they're playing against. I don't know who they play next, but no,
No.
not happening.
Not gonna do it, huh? Yeah, it'll be interesting to see their matchup. We'll get into a little bit later, but before we get there, Sunday Night Football, Bucks versus Commanders, and finally, we had a good game, buddy. This one was awesome, man. Back and forth from the get go. Bucks got out to an early lead, then they just kind of go back and forth here in the second and third quarters. We talked about him earlier, the rookie of the year favorite, Jaden Daniels, didn't look like a rookie at all, man. I don't know if you can give him the award because he doesn't look like a rookie, dude. I mean, he's just so damn good. He's poised. He throws the ball. He makes the right decision to pull it down and run. Like, you don't really see him be that, oh, first reading's not there, I'm going to take it and run. Like, he does it within the offense. They call the design run for him, so he looks good. And then we have that Marshawn Lattimore Mike Evans matchup,
Yes,
baby. We
sir.
love to see it, and Mike Evans won the hell out of that matchup. I think they even took Marshawn Lattimore off of him. I mean, it was just all Mike Evans in this one. He was catching everything on Marshawn. So I think they ended up putting Marshawn on like their second guy and then doubling Mike. Um, and then we had good old Baker Mayfield, man, who we love so much, doing typical Baker Mayfield things this time, trucking Bobby Wagner. Dude, put him on the ground. Insane to see. Never think that could happen, but yeah, man. And then we get into the fourth quarter when things get real interesting and Bucks are driving and looking like they might be able to win this, but then there's a mistimed little handoff on a reverse, cost them a fumble, which ended up costing them the game because the Commanders are able to go down the field, get into field goal range with 2 seconds left,
Yeah.
and then we see the most nervous looking kicker I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he did his hair, which was like so short that you can't even like do it, can't change. It's like when LeBron was brushing his bald ass head with the thing in
Yeah.
it was literally like he just kept doing this, and then like going to put his helmet on, then he took it off and then did it again. And dude definitely was not ready for the lights, and he came this close to missing like a 32-yard field goal, but he doinks it in somehow, man. And the Commanders win this game on the road, get the upset, and we'll move on to face the Detroit Lions next week. So, man, at least we had one good game, and they freaking popped off, man. We'd love to see this. So, what are your thoughts on that whole game?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted the Commanders to win this because they've been the underdogs besides the Lions, and now you got two underdogs going at it next week. But and freaking Lattimore, he hasn't even played a game in like I think 2 months. He's been dealing with some kind of
Yeah.
hamstring injury, and so I think that like realistically, I think Mike Evans was always going to win this battle because he hasn't even realistically played a real game of competition in like a month or two, and so I'm not really like worried about that matchup. I think he's still going to bounce back. He's still but we wanted to see a better matchup because we loved seeing that matchup against each other. And then
Yeah.
Baker, I said Baker, just doing Baker things, man. That man does not care, does not worry. He just does what he needs to do, and it sucks because every time you see him lose, it shows how like his competitiveness, his
Mhm.
drive, his willing to want to win. And every time the headline always says Baker Mayfield shocked reaction
Yeah.
after a loss, and it's like, yeah, no shiz, like,
What
but
do
it's
you
just it
expect him to
feels
be?
really terrible just because you know that he works really hard and he always wants to win. He's a competitor, just
Yep.
like any of these guys. But the Commanders do enough, and that field goal once again, the playoffs doing some playoff shiz and
Mhm.
making field goals go in somehow. So they escape with this one, but I think that this next matchup, they're really going to have to be on their A game because the Lions don't play.
No,
So,
they do not. They're going to have to play a very perfect game. And even then, it might not quite be enough. We know
yep.
that. So, all right. And then we get into Monday Night Football, which is the Rams versus the Vikings. Rams fell down to that fourth seed, like we talked about, after they chose not to play. And the Vikings falling down to fifth seed after getting blown out by Detroit on Sunday Night Football last week.
Yep.
So, but hopefully it's going to be a good game. We'd hope, but might be back to the dog shit hour. But before we get there, we got to talk about the news, obviously, that happened. So the NFL ended up moving this game to Arizona with the wildfires that are going on in LA, which, we obviously just want to send our thoughts and prayers and everything to all the people that are affected and shout out the LA Fire Department and police department and everything that are working so hard, and the Red Cross, everything to provide relief. Such a scary situation out there, man, in California with those wildfires.
Dude,
So,
and huge shout out to the LA teams. I heard that they raised like $8 million.
oh yeah,
So
I
like
did
the
hear that.
Lakers, the Sparks or something like that, Los Angeles Galaxy, like a bunch of the LA teams, the Rams, they all came together, and I think it said it was like 17 LA teams that
Yeah,
came together and donated about $8 million to kind of go towards this relief from all the people that are affected by. This fires. But yeah, it's definitely devastating. I don't even know how much of it is contained, but yeah, huge shout out to those teams coming reeling together to help out with the community when there's a need.
Yes, 100%. Really, really thankful for these great people in these tough times. So, all right, well, we'll get back to the game here. And it started out real well for the Rams, man. Matt Stafford was just slicing and dicing down the field, goes perfect on the first drive with a touchdown to Kyron Williams. And then on the next drive, he's looking pretty good too, but the Vikings defense is able to stop him to a field goal.
Mm.
And then the Vikings kind of have a good first drive, but didn't end up really doing, or not first drive, they're like second or third one. But then they only got a field goal off of that. And then after that, man, in the first half, it was just all Rams. Rams end up getting a fumble recovery touchdown and then stop them, sack Sam Darnold just all the time, and get another touchdown right before half to go up 24-3 in the first half of this game, man. Crazy, crazy stuff. Did not
Mm.
expect this.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I just feel like I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like the Rams have been clicking in all cylinders, and they're firing at all cylinders, and so now they're just using that momentum that they've been going on to just expose the Vikings. I think the Vikings were always a good and like regular season team,
Yep.
but the playoffs is a different animal, and it's kind of showing that right now with the score being 24-3. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can come back from that.
It's tough, man. And yeah, like you and I think Wes picked the Rams, me and Sean picked the Vikings. So yeah, in the first half, not looking so good for me and Shawnee boy. And I could see why you picked the Rams. You know, I mean they definitely look good, but I definitely thought the Vikings would be able to put up a much better fight in the first half.
Yeah.
Now in the second half, they somehow put up less of a fight. I mean, it wasn't even close. Like I said, back to the dog shit wild card weekend. They did score a touchdown in the third quarter, made it 27-9, but couldn't get anything going. Sam Darnold continued to be sacked. He got sacked a record tying 9 times. And yeah, it's just no good for the Vikings. Rams move on to face the Philadelphia Eagles next week. So yeah, what do you think? Do you think the Rams got a chance after that performance?
Oh, 100%. Anybody has a chance against the Eagles. Come on now, baby. Like,
Should
come on now, baby.
have known who I was talking to.
I was gonna say that. I'm gonna choose anybody but the Eagles any day of the week. So, but I think that this was a good come out game for the Rams. Just like I've been saying, that they've got the whole shenanigan, everything going right for them. So they're riding this high horse and they're going to continue to use it. And I think they have a pretty good chance against the Eagles. They're both a really high powered offense. If Matthew Stafford can do what he needs to do to get the job done, I think they have a pretty good chance with the players that they have with Puka and uh, Cooper Cup and Kyron Williams. Like, they just
Yeah.
have a really good solid team, and their defenses come back to life a little bit. And so I think that it's really going to come down to the offense who scores the more points, in my opinion, because the defense on the Rams isn't what it used to be, obviously, but good overall game. And I knew it. I had a feeling, bro. Just gonna say it, that I knew the Vikings weren't gonna get to where realistically they needed to be this season. And now you got questions all over the place, just like we talked about the Steelers. Do you keep Sam Darnold or do you go with the rookie quarterback? And if he's ready at that time, realistically, but people are gonna want to go after Sam Darnold. So it's
Yeah.
like, what do you do at that point? Is it fantasy time where you're like bring in Mr. Walmart Coco?
Kirko Chains.
Yeah,
Speaking of the Steelers, that's actually somebody I heard about for Sam Darnold, which kind of might make sense. You know what I mean? But
interesting.
I don't think he'd have as much success with Pittsburgh's offense than Minnesota's offense. But you never know. They might have to shell out and pay him. People are saying he's the best free agent quarterback in the draft, which you probably can't argue. I mean, Russell Wilson's out there. Who you want, Russell Wilson or
Or
Sam
Sam
Darnold? You
Darnold.
know?
Ah,
Yeah.
anybody who plays for the Steelers is confusing. I don't know. You saw that report too about George Pickens. Did you see that?
What?
I know this is a little ways back, but like George Pickens apparently was late to the
Oh yeah.
by 2 hours. So Uh-oh.
to that
I know this
Christmas
is a little
game. Yeah.
off, but Steelers wide receivers.
Keeping the
Uh-oh.
tradition alive, man.
Matt said, nah, earlier when we talked about him. Nah.
Hey, George, will you show up on time? Nah.
Nah.
Oh man, well, what a week. What a weekend. I know it wasn't the greatest. We had one good game in there. We can hope for a better divisional round for sure. I know we
Yep.
got some interesting lines. We got some big lines. I think that
Fireworks,
the
man.
Lions open up as 10-point favorites over the Commanders. Chiefs are 7.5 favorites over the Texans. So
Oof.
going to be interesting, but we got Bills and Ravens. I think that's going to be definitely the game
Fireworks.
of the weekend. So
Yep.
thank you all for joining us on this one, another episode of your favorite couch potatoes. Make sure to check out all the episodes dropping on YouTube and Spotify every Thursday. And then, of course, show some love to the clips on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. Like it up, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, we'll catch you on the couch. See ya.
All right.